Hello and welcome to the DJ Force 10 in Conversation podcast with me, DJ Force 10, also known as Barnaby. Gave him my real name. But Barnaby in Conversation didn't sound as good. I don't think it might. No, I'm not going to change the name of it. But yeah, on this very special show, I have the legendary Snowy Shaw. He is a multi-instrumentalist, photographer, designer, and now author. He has just released his autobiography called The Book of Heavy Metal. If you haven't heard of Snowy Shaw before, he is like I said before, a multi-instrumentalist. He has played with bands such as King Diamond, Merciful Fate, Dimmu Borgir, Sabaton, and just a whole host of bands. And we had this just great conversation. It started I missed out the start because it's full of a lot of setting up and personal, but we just started talking about music and we just kept it going from there. And then I sort of switched on. We need to talk about your book, and that's where you kind of join us in this conversation. But we go on and have a great chat on top of that as well. And I really enjoyed it. And if you guys haven't heard of him before, go back and listen to his stuff. If you're interested in sort of musicians' autobiographies, this is one of the best ones I've read. Please go and check it out. It is available only through his site at the moment, which is snowyshaw.net. That's SNOWYSHAW.net. And you can pick it up on there. And if there's I don't know if the limited editions are still available or not, but he was doing a limited run. But check him out on the socials as well, because he's active on there. He's very funny as well. And there are plans to sort of expand what he's released when it comes to the book to a sort of digital copy, and potentially, which I'm really looking forward to, is an audio book. So look out for that. We do talk about that a little bit in the podcast as well, so I'm not giving away too much. But yeah, please listen to this interview. If you like what you hear, go get his book. Especially if you love music and things like that. It is great. It's 40 years worth of experience. And it does take you through it. It's very real. It's not all sort of glitz and glamour and drugs and sex, drugs, rock and roll type thing. But it's just very real. And please go get it. Not listen to it 'cause it's now on the audio, but go get it. Honestly, go get it. It's great. I can't say any more on that front. But I want to thank everyone as well that have been listening over the past few episodes as well. It's been highly increased. A lot of people are checking out bands they hadn't heard in years, which is great. Fucking love that. Exactly what I wanted from those podcasts. And I'm hoping to continue this. I've got another 20th anniversary type podcast lined up as well. I'm not going to spoil that because it hasn't been recorded yet. But once it is, you'll see it up on my socials, and you're like, oh crap, yes, that band. Because another great band. But without much further ado, I just want to quickly do the please. Subscribe, like, rate, review, all that kind of stuff, please, on whatever platform you're listening to this on, be it YouTube, be it Spotify, be it Apple Podcasts, be it Google Podcasts, be it Amazon Podcasts, my new provider there. Amazon are doing podcasts through Audible now that you can download for free. And I should be on there, if not now, then very soon. If you're a first time listener, go back and listen to some other episodes, check out the bands on there. I'm hoping to sort of get a few more sort of lined up. Took a couple of weeks off again, just to sort of, because work and everything was sort of getting on, kids starting back at school, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, sort of back into the swing of things again. But yeah, please go like, review, subscribe, whatever on that front, just because the ratings are so important, because I really want to get exposure to the bands that I have on here. I fund this whole thing off my own back. There's no sort of, corporate sponsorship, whatever money coming through. It is just doing for the sort of love of music and journalism and whatever you want to call it on there. But I really want to start getting ramping up some of those reviews and stuff, and just sort of getting up on those search engines. Just so I can bring you more and more bands, obviously bands you know about, but more importantly bands you don't, especially around this time of extended lockdown and venues not reopening, some even closing down, and all that kind of shit that's going on right now. I really want to just get some more support for these people, these artists, these creatives that need that outlet, but at the moment they just can't make it a viable life for themselves, whereas before they were making money through playing music or being part of the road crew or anything like that. It's just all shut down for them, and now for at least the next 6 months, I'm not expecting to get back into the nightclubs until probably middle of next year at the earliest, and that's income for me as well that I'm missing out on. So, but I'm not asking you for money. I'm not going to ask you for money. I'm asking you to support this podcast just by clicking a 5-star or whatever and writing "top bloke" in there or something. And just like doing that, because then that ramps this up. It gets these bands exposure, and it gets the new bands that I speak to, the smaller bands that I speak to, and other artists and creatives that aren't quite there yet. And it's just another outlet for them. I want to make it a more viable outlet for them. Obviously, they get listeners. I know there are listeners out there. I know I've got subscribers and all that kind of stuff. But I'd really, really love to see that reflected in the reviews and the ratings and all that kind of shit that I normally don't give too much of a shit about. I'll mention them, but I really want to give a shit about them now, because I can see the effect that it can have to help some of my friends in this business. And please just go hit that like, hit that review, hit that 5-star review, hit that whatever platform you're listening on. There's always a review thing. Click a follow on Spotify. That's a new thing I've just seen on there. You can follow the podcast on there, so you don't have to subscribe. You just follow it. I'm on YouTube as well, so subscribe. And every time I upload a podcast, you'll see it come up on there. And just like anyway, Apple Podcasts, rate, review on there as well, because then that pushes me up the charts they have and all that kind of stuff. And it's just little things like that can help a massive amount, because I'm not, like I said, I'm funding this on my own. I'm paying for this. I pay for the hosting. I put everything together myself. I put all the hours into it, and use, if you want to break it down to the bare bones, electricity, internet connection, all that kind of stuff. And I'm just doing it, and my job pays for that. Doesn't pay for the artist, if you get what I mean. So what I would really like is if we can help and promote, or pick a show and share it. So pick a small band show and share it to your friends. Say, oh, check out this band, they did this podcast, if you like that, go check out their music. Actually, fuck the podcast, share their music. For instance, like Killer Tricks just released a new EP called Future Weapons, and that's out now, and they're doing that all off their own back. They don't have a publicist, they don't have a label, they're doing that all. They're making fantastic videos. They've just made one for a track called Subterranean, and it's out now. It literally came out last week, so go check that out. You got Seething Akira. They're promoting Gravity. They did that during lockdown. You got Bleed Again. You've got, I'm just trying to pick these bands out. Lonely Ones as well. They got some recognition for their Flash cover from Brian fucking May. And they loved it, which was even better. And I'm rambling, but I'm so fucking passionate about just trying to help these bands out and help these creatives out, because it's not just musicians, it's stand-up comedians. It's like I said, the road crew before, the sound person, the lighting person, the tour managers, and all that kind of stuff, and just that whole arts industry, the theatre performers, the actors on stage and stuff like that. It's all going away from them for the moment, and they need our support right now, and that's massively important. It's massively important. We need the arts. We can't let it die. So please, either rate, review this show if that's what you want to do. If not, support the artists, share their music, find a small band that you like, promote the absolute shit out of their music. Send it my way as well. If you don't think I've heard it, send it my way, and I'll give it a listen. I'll give it a share if I like it. All that kind of stuff. That's how it works. One person tells one person, tells two people, tells three people, tells four people, tells five, tells six. That thing. Just just fucking do it. Very passionate. I'm swearing a lot, I know, but very passionate. Anyway, without much further ado, I bring you Snowy Shore in conversation with me right now. Enjoy. No, it's all good, man. It's all good. So yeah, well, chat about is your book, if that's all right.
Yeah, totally. If
we get onto that, because you've bought it's the book of heavy metal is your autobiography, and I have gone through. I got sent a digital copy from your good people at the press agency, and I've gone through it. On there, and I really enjoyed it. I mean, I love reading autobiographies, especially of musicians.
Yeah, me too. I mean, it doesn't have to be musicians, but that is kind of my field of interest. But I read about John McEnroe. I mean, I'm not into sports, but he's a character. You have to go through anger management and all that. And, you know, it's kind of interesting to read what's behind, what made that person become that kind of character or whatever it is. I mean, what lies behind, or his struggle, or whatever it might be, you know, and that's interesting in general, I think.
Yeah, no, definitely, and I've like the ones I've read, the one I really like are things like Alice Cooper's Golf Monster, and
I haven't read that one. I'm a huge Cooper fan, but I haven't read that one.
Yeah, I enjoyed that one.
When was that? When was that published? Ooh. I don't think I've heard about it.
That was a while ago. Let me. I'm just gonna have a quick look up of it. Because I haven't got it in front of me, but it's basically how he sort of, you know, how he battled his addictions and whatnot, and took up golf to really kind of battle those.
Yeah, but too many of those autobiographies, it's what I try to avoid. Really, I mean, I'm not trying to paint a picture of a typical thing like coming from a broken family, being dirt poor, and and then I made it. It's some kind of Hollywood glamorized, romanticized Cinderella, fairy tale. And, I try to tell the truth as it is. I mean, what's behind the scene. Okay, it might look fancy on the outside, but it's the complete opposite, actually.
Yeah. It came out in 2008, I think, by the looks of it.
Okay. So I have to look that up, absolutely.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed that. And Slash's book as well. Again, it was kind of, again, more...
that was interesting.
Motley Crue's book, which they've now turned into a TV show on Netflix. Stuff like that. And
that was probably the book that really started this whole trend of rock biographies or autobiographies.
Yeah,
but that was good. But I mean, they tried to cash in on that afterwards. Or Tommyland and Heroin Diaries. I kind of think that's kind of fishy. I mean, how can you keep a diary when you're so fucked up on junk or on dope that you shit yourself?
Yeah,
that's it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense at all, because even if you try and remember what you did, you don't. Yeah. So
I'm just trying to cash in on that whole thing. Yeah, I'm I don't know. It's just stupid, I think.
But no, I really enjoyed your book. Sort of, take about with that, and I've you've been a part of some of the sort of like biggest bands in metal. Through multi-instruments as well, not just like. I mean, you're primarily a drummer, right?
Yeah, I started out as a drummer, but I soon realized, as you can read in the book, that it wasn't the ideal instrument to pick when you're going to be the band leader, or you're more like a driving force.
Yeah.
And so I realized that, okay, maybe I have to. I got tired after a while of sitting behind the drum kit, and because the other guys didn't have any ideas, I didn't know how to write music, or nobody did really, or how to run a band or whatever. But you have to sit there and try to make them pick that up. And they couldn't figure it out. So, okay, I better learn a little bit on guitar so I can at least write my own songs and show it to them.
Definitely.
Yeah.
No, that's right. No, so that's why I was like really cool, because when I was originally researching you, when I was reading through the book, obviously, I was just sort of like amazed, because I always love when people pick up different instruments. So, like you say, you start with drum, but you're quite good with the guitar, the bass, keyboards, and even singing. On that front, and you've sort of facilitated all those roles. You're like the kind of like, you know, one man band, if you will.
Yeah, but I don't know if you heard my soul album that I put out 2 years ago, and I mean, to sum it up, I say to people, okay, everything you hear and see, it's done by myself, because I play all the instruments, I produce it, I record it, and I design it, and I do everything pretty much. I cannot really, I mean, I've been in this business for such a long time, and a lot of disappointments, and people don't live up to expectations, they don't even show up, and you get so tired of on being in dependent position and relying on others.
Yeah.
So it's like, fuck that, I do it myself, and so then I can only blame myself if it's not good enough or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of like the poster boy for DIY, I suppose. Do it yourself.
Yeah, no, I mean, totally. And it's not just music that you do as well. You're a photographer as well and things like that. And is that right?
Yeah, but I mean, if I look back on my life, I mean, if you don't have a lot of money, I mean, you have to figure out other ways to do what you want to do. I mean, and I didn't grow up in Hollywood or anything like that. If I want guillotines or cool things like Alice Cooper, Welcome to a Nightmare, that Eon had on stage, where do I find that? Okay, I try to, make a lot of phone calls when I run my own band, Notre Dame, for example, try to find those kind of East, Transylvanian coffins and stuff, and those funeral homes, they said, oh, you have to call East Europe, I suppose, or that is just in the movies. So, okay, fuck it. I mean, I built it myself,
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not a carpenter, but I'm not an idiot. So, I mean, I can just be a little handy and do it myself.
No, that's really cool.
From that on, it has continued like that. I mean, I just realized if you want something done, do it yourself. I mean, you cannot just sit on your ass and wait for it. Same with the book. I mean, it's not like people are knocking on my door. Hey, please write your autobiography. We want to publish that. Here's $1 million. No, that didn't happen like that. I mean, I did it myself, and I fucking published it, and I print it myself, and I sell it myself.
Yeah. No, I've noticed that. I've noticed that on your social feeds and stuff that that obviously you've got a signed version that you're signing, personalising for people and stuff. And
exactly.
What was the sort of like? What was the motivation behind writing a book? Because obviously I know, like, looking through your career, there is a story there, obviously, and I can see that just from like the bands you play with, the musicians you must have worked with, and the sort of journey you've been on. But what was your sort of main reason for putting that onto paper?
You can actually read about that in the book. It's somewhere in the middle, though, because I didn't want to start out like sobbing or complaining, blah blah. But I came home from having been on tour for a whole year all over the world with Therion, and I didn't have any place to live because they tear down my house and all that. So it was a really hectic period, and everything was fucked up. And then I turned 40, and I came to, I had the biggest midlife crisis ever, and I was like, what the fuck am I going to do with myself? I wanted to grow up to be like Kiss. I'm just a fucking loser. I couldn't see any positive things in my life at all.
Yeah, because
I was so depressed, pretty much, So I was like on the verge of committing suicide or jumping from the bridge, and I just needed to land a little bit. You hit a crossroads every time you turn. That's how it is for me, at least when I turn 20, when I turn 30 and 40 and 50. You need to reevaluate life and look at yourself objectively. It's like, okay, I've gotten this far. Where has it taken me? Should I modify something in the future, or just keep walking in the same path, or whatever? But anyways, so instead of jumping from the bridge or spending all my money for 10 years going to a shrink or a therapist or whatever, being the sort of like self-made man who needs to do things in his own way, I had this kind of, what do you call that? Premonition. No, that's not the word.
Epiphany?
Epiphany, Yeah, like, okay, I wanted to write down, to put black on white and to write about my life, all the ups and downs and all that, just to as some sort of homemade therapy. And I started doing that, and I just kept going for weeks and weeks, like, around the clock.
Yeah.
And eventually I came to a point where I was like, look out the window. This was like dark November in Gothenburg, Sweden, where it's like dark and rainy and all that. But I actually saw the sun, and I looked at. I remember thinking, wow, this is a good sign. I'm on the path of recovery here, or road of recovery. Actually, so I just kept. After that, I promised myself that I should keep a journal, or write about things when I'm out on tour or whatever, when I continue my life. Long story short here, but anyway, so after doing that, I mean, I realized that maybe other people would be interested in reading about, my journey, my life story, basically, and see what it's like. And it's not so glamorous all the time, but I mean, sometimes one day it's fantastic, the next day it's like horrible, and whatever.
Yeah.
So I decided to compile it all and make it into a book, basically.
Yeah. No, I was going to give you a hit on that, because I remember reading that part in the book, and like just having that like moment of needing to reevaluate is something that I kind of really gravitated to, just on a general, like I just hit 40 this year. So, and I kind of like, I do take stock of things whenever I hit sort of like the landmark moments in time. And no, it really did hit me, especially on the sort of like mental health side, because there are moments where you're like, what have I done? What am I gonna, have I just wasted these like 40 years, or have I just, it's that. And
but I think it's really healthy to do that.
It is. Yeah.
At certain points, like, should I just continue on? I mean, people say, yeah, but it's just a number. Yeah, it's easy for you to say, but that's not how it works for me, because I've always followed my heart. I mean, I'm unconventional in that sense. I don't have a regular day job or a family like that. I mean, I just wanted to live my dream or accomplish my, goals or whatever, and so, okay, where has this taken me so far? Have I walked in the wrong path or something? So you need to ask yourself in order to choose that same path again. I mean, at least you have to raise the question, I guess, instead of just like blindly keep walking forward,
Yeah, because you end up in like 50, 60, 70 years old, and you realize, I didn't even take stock of, like you say, you got to take a turn when you hit the crossroads, and it's just,
I think it's very healthy. I think everybody should do that.
No, I mean, I have a regular kind of like, I sort of developed a check myself day every 6 months or whatever, just to sort of keep on top of that side of things, because I found myself like when I hit 40, it was at the time I was like, it's just done, but then you realize, okay, but then I took stock of everything. So I'm fortunate enough to have a family. I've got some great kids and stuff, and I had my moment in the music industry, if you will, and I've stopped dwelling on those moments of what if I did this instead. At the time, because there were moments where you can kind of go back as into that and said, if I'd made that decision at that time, this could have happened. But then because I didn't make the decision, I made another decision.
I mean, that whole thought of what if, it's such a crazy thought. I mean, what if I had gone to the left instead and met that girl and had a family with her? But you never know, but you cannot sort of dwell in that. I usually don't look back at all, and that's why I needed to recapture or get sort of in terms with myself and my life at that point, and you got to keep doing that continuously, because I mean, otherwise, the worst nightmare is to wake up in a retirement home. You're 70 years old, and I wish I had took the chances of trying out this or that I dreamt about as a kid. And you don't want to miss out on life. I mean, you have one shot at it, so do the best of it, I guess.
Exactly. What was the biggest thing you obviously writing this book and putting it together? Was there anything that you kind of learned about yourself? A lot. Because obviously you kept these diaries. I don't know if you obviously went back and read them eventually to kind of put this book together.
I learned so much about myself. I mean, if the readers are capable to read between the lines and what's not being said, I mean, like my wife read it just when we got it, and then she said, I won't read it until you're dead. But then she read it in like 8 hours or something like that.
Yeah.
And she's like, wow, now I understand you better. Something what you've been going through. And it strikes me that underneath, I mean, you've been this lonely guy and never found your place in life, and always keep searching to find that, sense of belonging or inner peace or whatever it is. And that's what I've been struggling for. Like, wow, I want to reach that top. I mean, I realized that I have those kind of bucket list things going on.
Yeah.
Like, wow, I want to live in New York. When I did, it's like, no, I'm an old guy now. I mean, maybe it was cool when I was 20 or something like that. I mean, that's Miss My Kiss fantasy. Spider-Man is from New York. Manowar, Kiss. So, I mean, it's just a fantasy. And just like Lemmy said, the chase is better than the catch. I mean, I realized that in many ways it is like that. I mean, when I played this massive in front of 70,000 people at Roskilde with Merciful Fate, people would have killed to be in my position. Yeah. And I thought at that point, wow, this is the pinnacle of my career, what I've always dreamt about. But when I walked off stage, I just dried my sweat and to open a beer, and I felt exactly the same as I did before. I mean, and then I started to blame myself. What's going on here? Am I this grumpy, unsatisfied guy or whatever? But then I realized, is this really my dream? Or can I have my own band? I want to be King Diamond. I want to be the man in charge, not just a guy in the back playing drums.
Yeah.
And I would probably be more satisfied if I played in front of 70 people instead of 70,000 people with my own thing that I built, So it's kind of hard I've had the fortune of actually achieving many of my goals, my childhood dreams and all that. Just to realize that it didn't really make me any happier. I just have to continue searching.
Yeah, no, it's definitely one of those things. Is that, like you say, is that you get the pleasure from the chase of it, but once you're there, and like you say, you walked off stage and you didn't feel any different. No. At the time, that moment was fantastic. Obviously, you're in front of 70,000 people, and they're all going for it.
Yeah, but I've been thinking that, am I actually not capable of feeling content or happy? Yeah. I mean, there's something wrong with me or something. I mean, I'd always have to go, push myself, new adventures, new challenges, go onward, because I mean, I can never be pleased. I mean, I've been thinking, like, what if I stayed in King Diamond since I joined them in 1989? Would I be happy then? Definitely not. I mean, I need to branch out and try my wings and do different things. I mean, because I got into this business and I happened to pick the drums, like I mentioned earlier, that it wasn't ideal. I mean, of course, I loved to play the drums, especially when I was young. But I mean, it doesn't satisfy me. I need to be able to create more and write songs and all that. And when I wasn't allowed to contribute, it felt like you only have 30% of me. I have so much more to give. And if I'm not allowed to do that, I feel like my hands are tied behind my back or something. And it felt unsatisfying.
Yeah, because you're not part of that creative process.
Yeah, but I mean, actually, that's the only thing that I care about. I mean, that is what gives me the most pleasure, is sitting at home in my kitchen, writing songs and coming up with creating those small worlds in my from thin air, from my fantasy. That is, boring and stuff. I've been doing that so much that I'm kind of fed up with that, actually.
Well, this is a perfect time to be fed up about it. So.
Yeah. It struck me like, okay, I'm not so pleased with touring anymore, and this fucking Corona thing has really put an end to that. I mean, I'm not going to complain about that.
No, it's great. You can kind of do what you need to do at this point. No, I was just like, when it comes to, like you say, when you just mentioned it then, like you sat in your kitchen and you just start writing songs and stuff. What was the sort of like, is that the setting you like to be creative, or is it something that specifically just like you suddenly get that urge to write something?
I mean, I'm so busy running my own business and a company, with my own record company and publishing company and the book, and taking care of pretty much everything myself, like through the web shop and all that. So I don't have an awful lot of time to actually play music. I mean, so I played a little bit of drums like yesterday or the day before that, and now I recorded some vocals here for some Spanish project.
Okay.
and another Polish guys that wanted me to do a guest appearance there and stuff. Yeah, but for the most part, I mean, I'm just a fucking secretary, pretty much, and try to organize everything. That's how it is. But I mean, I really would love to. I mean, that is a necessity. I mean, I didn't ask for that. I want to just be able to be creative all the time. But I mean, that's a luxury I can't afford, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, it's really what gives me the most pleasure to write songs and to put it together and take it from A to B or whatever. I mean, to finish it. I mean, that's really what gives me the most pleasure of all, actually.
No, that's good.
And like you said, it's not just the music or what you hear, but also to put the right kind of logotypes up on that and the artwork and everything. Because if I think back, I mean, the biggest what made me the biggest impression on me, it was like one of those before and after moments when I discovered Kiss Destroyer as a kid. I was 7 years old and found that album Kiss Destroyer in '76, and like that changed my life, because I mean I couldn't separate what I hear from looking at the album cover and that kind of fantastic thing, and in itself that's perfection to me. So I realized that all my life I tried to accomplish that. I mean, both sound and vision when it's like working together hand in hand, And so that's pretty much what I've been doing. That's why I build all the stage props or design stage clothes and make my own videos and being a photographer, and I'm just doing pretty much everything.
Yeah, you've got what I call a creative soul, if you will. You want to be, or you are involved in all aspects. So not just building like the sort of the musical part of it or the world around that part. You've actually got in your vision the artwork with it, the video. But
I think the presentation is so essential. Yeah. I mean, how things are presented. I mean, I realized that if Kiss would have looked like Dr. Hook, for example, or Budgie or whatever, I wouldn't like them, because it's not just their music; it's the whole fucking superhero imagery and the whole visual aspect of the whole thing. So, and I've been able to sort of analyze that and dissect it or whatever. A lot of people cannot really separate what they hear from what they see, But that goes with everything. I mean, you see a hot girl in the bar. Wow, I'm going to try to pick her up. I mean, it's not that you go for the ugliest, most like anonymous, plain girl. It's like, wow, she probably has a great soul. Yes. No, you go with, you buy something with your eyes first. So the packaging is really important too. Yeah. I mean, same thing when you bought albums for your kid. Wow, that looks really cool. Hope it's good. Yep. Or renting movies in the past or whatever. It's everything like that.
Yeah, no, it's that's 100% true. I mean, it's like that Kiss Destroyer album, the one you gave the example of. That one, I remember seeing that album. I remember seeing that because it's got all four members of Kiss on the front. And when you're a kid, you're like, wow. It's like, especially if, you just look at it. It's like it's before the music. I haven't even heard them.
Yeah.
And then
no, but I mean, then you just hope it's going to be good.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally.
And it was in that case, it was really good.
Yes.
But you bought albums and it doesn't look that good, like I have on my wall here, or staring at it right now. But I have Demon, the first album, where it's like a stone cross in the grass and grasping hands and all that. Wow! I bought it because it looked cool.
Yeah.
I didn't really like the music. I thought it was like a old guys in a pub band singing occult lyrics or something. But anyway, so you just hope that it's going to be good. Because you buy something with your eyes. I mean, that's your first impression, and all kinds of senses work together, I suppose. What you see and what you listen to and all that. I mean, it sums up into one big chunk of goodness.
Yes. I don't know. No, I was just going to hark back to when I first saw couple of bands, Slipknot for one, if we want to keep it current.
Yeah.
I remember seeing them initially in like the late 90s, I think early 2000s, and again it was like it was in the magazines. You see these 9 guys in these masks and boiler suits and stuff. Yeah. Thankfully, that album was good.
But you when you see something that attracts you visually or something, you are in a positive spot. You want to like it. You're more open-minded to actually like it. To sort of, what can I say? Just because it looks good, you hope it's going to sound good too. But they are kind of an equivalent or similar thing. Yeah. The same package. It was with the Spice Girls even. Yeah. Wow, we have one of each kind here. You're like the brunette, and I prefer the redhead. Yeah. Or something like that. So it's like just like Kiss. The concept never fails,
Yeah. No, that.
And Slipknot, I mean, as good as they are, but I mean, if they wouldn't wear the mask or the whole imagery, I mean, they would just be another death metal band.
Yeah. That's kind of it. To me, yeah, you're exactly right. And they've all got solo projects where that kind of comes across as well. So where they don't wear the mask, and then they're just kind of a generic rock band, metal band, whatever they are at that point. But it is the whole package.
It's so important, and I mean, Alice Cooper. I love Alice Cooper, but if he wouldn't look like that, or if he wouldn't have those kind of crazy stage shows and present himself as the villain and the crazy guy singing about "I Love the Dead." Yeah, big hit in 1973, singing about necrophilia. Try to do that today, No,
it's not going to work, is it?
No, definitely not.
But no, I was going to mention Alice Cooper as well, because I've been fortunate enough to see him live a few times, and it's one of my favourite shows. Like with the props and everything, definitely. Just like the whole that visual package is just amazing.
I think it's the best. I mean, actually, I went with my former girlfriend or former wife. To see Alice Cooper in 2001 or something. I've seen him plenty of times, but I went with her, and by that time I was doing Notre Dame, my sort of horror metal band, and that kind of stems from my fascination for horror comics and films and Alice Cooper shock rock in general. Yeah. And when she saw that, now I get it, where you got everything from. Because I got obsessed with. When I discovered Alice Cooper, I knew about him when I was a kid, but I was too young. So in the mid 80s, I fucking hated this hair metal thing that popped up, and when everything got popular, and it went from being Birmingham thing with Judas Priest and Black Sabbath and all that, and became this Californian beach, cute guys and commercial music and blah blah blah. And I fucking hated that, so I pretty much gave up around 85, 86 or something like that, and went backwards and discovered bands that I previously missed because I was too young, like Arthur Brown, for example. Yeah. And Uriah Heep, obviously, and Alice Cooper. So, and then when I got the videotape from Welcome to My Nightmare, I was like, that was the best thing I ever seen. I watch it every day. I was like, wow, this is the shit. It cannot possibly be any better than this. I've been massively inspired by that.
Yeah. And he's inspired you, and like people like Rob Zombie and stuff as well. You look at him.
I mean, I never met him, but a lot of people say you two guys should meet. You have a lot of things in common.
Yeah.
Obviously,
but no, just I mean, I love when there's a production involved, especially with like live shows, because it adds that element of just just the storytelling. I've always loved songs that tell stories. Yeah. And the music videos are always good for that, but like actually having the live show like Alice Cooper does, not just with the guillotine, the straight jacket, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but everything. I mean, it's the benchmark of how you should do your live shows, and that's what I've been trying to do. But I didn't have nearly as good body as he did. So it was kind of complicated to do that.
Yeah, no, definitely.
But I've been struggling, and doing all I can to actually accomplish that, but that's what I do.
Yeah, no, that's all good. And your book covers a lot of this as well. So it's if anyone's obviously interested, which they should be, it is available now. Just to sort of get this part, you can get it directly from your website.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you've got, and is it available on digital, like Kindle side of things, or as well as physical, or is it just physical?
No, it's just physical.
Just physical. Okay, cool.
For now, yeah. But I mean, it's been selling really great. The reception is amazing, and also, so this first print, this limited deluxe edition, it's kind of pretty much sold out by now. So you have to hurry up if you want to order it. But I'm thinking of contacting more established publishers and see if they would be interested on the back of this kind of success that I sold out all the copies and all. So they can pick that up. So I can, have it available at all the airports and other, retailers, whatever, for books and stuff. And also I should do the audiobook. So that's what I'm planning on doing. I
was going to ask, actually, because I'm a sucker for an audiobook. So obviously you have plans to do that.
Yeah, but I do because, not just because, but that's the coolest thing. I mean, I bought it on the day it was released, Paul Stanley's book, and he's reading it himself, and you're so familiar with his voice and all that, and he did it so great, and it was such a pleasure to just lie there in bed and listen to him talk about his life story for, hours. And and also it's a format that it's not sort of totally explored or whatever, so you can pretty much do whatever you want. I did this. We have a thing in Sweden called like summer guest or something like that on the radio, so you get to talk for an hour or two, whatever, about this and that. And when they asked me to do that, I added, birds chirping and stuff in the background just to create sort of summer feeling. And I mean, the sky's the limit. I mean, it's just to do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, I subscribe to Audible, so I get a free book every month, pretty much. But I also get books in between that as well. But there's obviously difference. You get one that's sort of like like you say, solo read, just reading the text in the book. But then you get ones that do push it, and they have like a whole performance about it. In as much as they've got sound effects, they've got maybe different voices portraying different people.
But I've been thinking about that too. I mean, if I'm writing about King Diamond, I could have him involved or doing his voice, and we could have a conversation going on there. I mean, the sky's the limit. I mean, we see where it lands.
Yeah. No, I'm going to keep an eye out for that because, like I say, I love it.
Yeah, but people's been asking me about ebooks, and I don't know. That feels to me, I'm no expert in the field, but to me it feels like mini disc or something. That was just a blip on the map or something. Because, physical books is one thing for collectors and all that, especially if I designed it the way I did. It's like so, interesting and cool design and all, with a lot of footage and drawings and, this and that.
Yep.
But then you can kind of decorate it, paint, what do you call it, audio landscape with the sound of it. And... But in between, I don't know, ebooks, maybe that's a big thing. I don't know.
I mean, relatively. I mean, I'm not a big fan of them. When I mention like the Kindle and stuff like that, I'm not like, I have one, but I rarely use it.
But you don't use a regular iPad to do that. You have to have a special kind of unit or something. You
can use it, with the Kindle side of things, there's a software for either the iPad or the Kindle itself, or any other sort of like tablet on there, so it can be used on all of them essentially.
Yeah, well, I think in recent years, at least from my point of view, that the audiobook has really had a big, being successful that way. Because I mean, you can drive in your car, you can walk in the forest, you can sit on the bus, or you can be at work as a carpenter and still listen to a book and be entertained that way without. Just listening, basically.
Yeah, no, that's why I like this sort of format as well, the podcast format, because it's very much like that, where it's just an audio take on it, but you can hear real life in the background,
exactly.
And stuff like that, so it's all good on there. So I was just going to ask you about your record company, actually, if that's all right. Because like you say, you go for the creative side of things, but you're also going, obviously, the admin side of things on those bits. So how long has your label been around?
I mean, it's just my company that I've used for everything, pretty much. And occasionally I've been releasing some other stuff on it, the things that I've been involved with, like side projects and so on. But it's mostly done for myself, just like my own studio. People ask, okay, can we come to the studio and record? No, we can't. It's my studio. It's just for my own. It's my home studio, basically.
Yeah.
So same thing with a record label, or whatever you want to call it. So yeah, it's been kind of active for I don't know, 6 years or something.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. I just because
but I don't have any intention of signing other bands and stuff like that. People's been suggesting that because I have such. After all these years, you kind of know the thing and know the business in a good way, and you have good insight in how things work. But I got to say that nowadays, all those middle hands, whether you're a booking agency or something like that, I mean, to me, I've seen that a lot of people, they are just trying to cash in on people's rock and roll fantasy, and stealing money from them. And I think that would be against everything I believe in. I mean, I'm doing it for myself, and I don't want to have people and tell them lies. Okay, you pay me like this much money, and I'm going to make sure you get all the greatest exposure ever.
Yeah.
And then they go in there and pay their hard-earned money from their work in the factory with big dreams. Oh, we're going to be the next Metallica. No, that won't happen. No, those days are gone.
It's very different now.
I don't want to fucking lie to people. I couldn't live with myself.
Yeah, no, that's good. I like that. I wish there was more people like that out there as well.
Yeah, but I can see sense in every different branch of this business now, the whole industry, that people are getting desperate. I mean, it's hard to earn money from music, and they're getting more and more desperate and compromising their integrity or whatever, if they had any to begin with. I don't know, but they are just ripping people off, and I fucking despise that. That's why I released an album in 2017 because then I was doing a sort of a kid stuff, children's music, and I was singing in Swedish for the first time ever. And since I've been around the world and sort of like an international underground goof, whatever. Anyway, I contacted them because they had, better knowledge of the scene in Sweden. But they fucked it up so terribly that I said, I mean, give me a fucking break. What you have accomplished, I mean, I could do that before breakfast one morning, So when it comes to promotion and all that, so I said, I swore to myself never to sign any record label again with any record, unless they start throwing millions after me. But that hasn't happened so far.
So far. That's the important word right there. So far.
Exactly. Yeah.
So how do you find the sort of like, because coming out of Sweden, they do have some big bands coming out of that area of the world. Yeah. How do you find the sort of like, are you very much into the heavy scene in Sweden? Or
not at all.
Not at all. So okay, because I've spoken to a few bands from out that way, and I'm always curious as to like, because I've never been to Sweden myself, so I've not been able to experience that country. But no, I've spoken to Patrick from Misery Loves Company.
Okay. Yeah.
And
did you read about him at the beginning of the book?
Yeah. Yes, I was going to ask. And there was another band called Thunder Mother, who I recently spoke to, Guernica, the singer. She was Swedish, so and they're solid, but very different bands. I'll give you that. Out of those two, but I was just curious what the scene was like out there, because it's always been like the sort of like haven of sort of the black metal, or the sort of that.
I got to say that I mean, I'm from Gothenburg. It's like Birmingham by English standards, I suppose, like working class and stuff,
Brilliant.
Compared to Stockholm being London, Gothenburg being Birmingham, I suppose.
Okay.
So, kind of more hardcore or down to earth, or working class guys or something. Yeah. But anyway, I was in Spain. I recorded drums on an album with a Spanish band, and they wanted me to fly me down there to appear in the video and all that. And I said, I mean, you're a bunch of Spanish guys. Why do you pick me to do this? It's not that I don't appreciate it to do that. I mean, you pay me and all, so fine. But why don't you pick a Spanish guy? And they say it's so hard to find people who believe in this, because there are no predecessors before us who made it big. And when I thought about that, Barón Rojo, that was a band that I saw like in 1981 or something. Oh, maybe that's the only Spanish band that I could to think of at that point. And for us, we have ABBA, we have Yngwie Malmsteen, we have Europe and all that. So it actually vouches for, wow, this is possibly to do, you know?
Yeah.
You can make a career out of this. That is one explanation. And it's also, you know, but you're an English guy. You should know that. I mean,
yes.
We have such poor weather here compared to, I mean, there's not a lot of great band from Greece or Mexico, really, because the weather is so nice. Yeah, but being from this rainy shithole, you know, you can stay inside, and maybe if you get lucky, you can move to California. You know?
Yes.
I don't know. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean,
but I don't know. I think it's if you have all those bands who made it big in the past, I mean, they get more tolerable. And I mean, you've probably heard about the Gothenburg sound.
Yes.
We have a lot of bands from here, though, and I mean, I don't see that because you are from here, so you cannot really compare it to something.
Yeah.
Just like you would ask some guy in Seattle, oh, the grunge scene, and what, you know,
yes.
They probably wouldn't know about it, you know. So, but of course, I mean, if it tends to be like that, if something gets successful, like, oh, Hammerfall got successful, they are actually responsible for bringing the whole kind of power metal, singing about dragons and knights and fantasy stuff. They brought it back in '97. And when I was in Dream Evil, I didn't realize, actually, that they had a rivaling company, Central Media, Nuclear Blast. They wanted their version of Hammerfall. We have another bunch of guys here from Gothenburg that's going to do, like, fast shredding guitars, high-pitched vocals, and double-kick drums, and sing about dragons, you know. I didn't realize that, but I just told him to fuck off, basically. Like, we do what we want to do, and you sell it. That's it, you know.
Yeah.
but they wanted to have their version, just like something gets successful. You can see that all those copycats jumping on the bandwagon. Okay, now we have Guns N' Roses. And then all the rivaling companies want to have their Guns N' Roses and cash in on the fucking trend.
Yeah.
And that's how it works, I guess. And, you know, yeah.
If there's money
to be made. There are multiple explanations about that. But also, I mean, if you live in a city, so sometimes you can just, wow, there's a whole bunch of bands popping up from that little town just because they create their own scene there, and you know, something gets successful, and then the other ones can just tag along, pretty much, you know.
Yeah, that's the same in most scenes. Actually, I remember the scene around when I was sort of active in the music scene, and we had a bunch of bands get signed up to big labels. I wasn't one of them, unfortunately, but it gave a lot of focus there because we built this scene and we were all part of this scene, and then once that element comes in, though, when major labels came in and picked up a few of them, there was this like instant resentment in the scene. Like there's this weird thing where it kind of destroys it and you have to rebuild it.
But that's how it works. I mean, I think I read a little bit about that. I've been so much against this the massive popularity of metal music in the 80s, for example. It felt like, what the fuck is this? This is not a commercial thing. We shouldn't try to adapt or kiss the ass of people. We should be the rebellion or the against the whole thing. I mean, this is our thing. When it gets too accepted and being a household name, then it's lost its meaning.
Yeah, that's happened with punk, didn't it? Like, there's pretty much, I'm 50 plus now, but I still have that kind of attitude. So, don't just tell me what to do, then I'm going to do the opposite. Fuck off. You know? No, that's good. I like that. I really like that. It's good. But same, like say with the punk scene, like I remember that being quite prevalent, obviously being here in the UK as the sort of first movement that I was like really focused for. And like when like people said there's only really one true punk album and then the rest are just like the commercial send-offs.
But one thing that I haven't realized, I mean, it actually dawned on me a couple of years ago because I sort of gone my own way with things, so I haven't been part of any scene. If I could easily have jumped on the wagon of being a Gothenburg death metal band like so many others, like In Flames and Dark Tranquility or whatever. I mean, that would have made my life a lot easier, but I have to go my own way and do some sort of shock metal rock or whatever it is. And that is not the flavor of the month and hasn't been since quite some time. But you could see that if you get success, it's because you're part of a movement. You know, when the black metal thing happened in, first of all in Norway, but also in Sweden, everybody just wanted to sign bands like that, and you get signed just because, wow, you're from Norway, you wear face paint, and you're a black metal band, because that was the part of the movement and the trend, and they can pretty much surf on that. Same thing with you mentioned with the punk scene. There were like tons of bands. Everybody got all those copycats just tag along. Wow, punk is the fashion. Let's do that. Yeah. And then they get some sort of success. And 10 years later, it's still going to be the original and best, like Sex Pistols, for example. You know? Yeah. One album. But it's always split. Like that. I mean, look at the fucking hair metal scene. Motley Crue. Yeah. They are the ones still standing. I mean, I'm not such a big fan of them, but all the other bands, I mean, you know, they were second. Yeah, second being the first loser, I suppose. You know, but it's got to be the original and best. Kellogg's cornflakes. You know? Yes. Don't go for the off-brand. Well, man, I've got a couple of like general questions left for you, if that's all right, and I can let you get on with the rest of your day and whatnot. But what I want to know is, what are your 3 most important albums for you? So the ones that like that initial album that got you into sort of say the heavy, or got you into music generally. Have you got like, could you list 3 that were really like pivotal for you? Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, it was Kiss Destroyer. I mean, I was listening before that. I was casually listening to Deep Purple and Sweet, which I really like, and Nazareth and those bands too. You know, the older guys were listening to in my area and stuff. But I didn't really get hooked that much since I was such a, you know, nutcase for horror comics and that whole thing. And the transition into Kiss, it was like so natural. Wow. Here you have not just the drawings and stuff in comic books, but you also have cool rock music, especially that production, Bob Ezrin, because it's so cinematic. It's like listening to a cool, dark action movie, and just fantasizing what's going on with all the children crying and cars crashing and all that. Wow, it's so imaginative or imaginary, whatever you say. So that is like what really got me into music, and that's the reason I became a musician. You know? Beautiful. Instead of being a painter like all the teachers, you must promise us to be a illustrator or cartoon paint, you know, whatever. But when I discovered Kiss, I figured out a way to do it all. No, definitely. Are you a member of the Kiss Army? No, never been. Oh, okay. But after that, I should say, what was, I think I write about that. What Manowar to me was in the 80s what Kiss was to me in the 70s when I discovered them, and they especially Into Glory Ride and Hail to England that they put out like in 83 or something. But Into Glory Ride is probably like my black Bible because it's so against the grain, and I think, you know, I've been complaining so much about the trendy thing, and when everything got sort of commercialized and all that in the 80s, and that is probably why Manowar became so super important to me, because they had this kind of motto of death to false metal. To begin with, I thought that was just a ridiculous thing, and that sounded funny to say, but after a while I realized that they weren't adapting or kissing ass or trying to please people. No. Until later, then they did. It became a parody of themselves. But but back then they were true to the bone, I think, and they created great music that was to me like nothing I ever heard. You know, so it was like they weren't part of any trend. I mean, they dressed up like idiots or something. I mean, it was, what can I say? I mean, it was really, really important that Into Glory Ride was so dark and cool, and he's the best singer ever, I think, and the way he screams and all that. Cool. Yeah, apart from that, I don't know. What else? Uriah Heep, probably. Uriah Heep? Yeah. Cool. Let me look at my wall here. I sold my whole vinyl collection, but I have framed like 12 albums here or something, like cool album covers. Judas Priest, Sad Wings of Destiny. It's a big thing. Nice. I don't know, really. I mean, there are many of them, but yeah, I also have Rainbow Rising next to Kiss Destroyer.
Yeah.
Same year, same painter, Ken Kelly. I mean, it's like a masterpiece, of course.
Nice. Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah.
No, those are all cool. I'm going to go back. I'm going to go on a Kiss journey, I think, because you've kind of got me in the mood for that, which is good. I like that. That's why I asked this question, because it's like it always gives me a chance to discover stuff or rediscover albums that I've either not heard before or not heard in a long time. But yeah, Kiss Destroyer, because we've had that quite predominantly through this. I've got it written down in front of me. I must listen to this when we're done. So final question. This is we've probably covered this, to be honest. But what are your hobbies away from music? So when you're not, I know you said you didn't have much time recently. You're very busy doing everything with like administration side, so the label and whatnot. Do you have any like hobbies or pastimes you like to sort of indulge in?
I like to fuck.
You like to fuck? Okay, cool.
No, but actually, I mean, what I decided at some point in my life that, okay, I won't have a regular day job. I'm going to make this my livelihood and to do whatever I want. And then you have to make certain sacrifices and compromises, maybe, or something. So to lower your living standard or whatever it is. I don't need a fancy car. Just like I sing in that song, Book of Heavy Metal that I wrote for Dream Evil. Like, I don't need no fancy house, no car, ugly wife. It was, long story short, you have to read about that in the book.
Yes, I was going to say, don't give away too much more about the book.
What I'm getting at is that everything that fascinated me, and I tried to put it all in one fucking, what do you call that? Cauldron, and just stare it around. So I'm interested in design and art and music, and I'm trying to combine all that into my own creative outlet or whatever, So
cool.
So other than that, I mean, I like animals. I like dogs.
Cool.
I mean, but I also wrote the song "Be Kind to Animals or I Kill You," because that was kind of a movement that happened by coincidence, really. But apart from that, I don't know.
No, that's cool.
I don't have any hobbies, really. I mean, I just made my hobbies my profession.
Yeah. No, that's cool. I like that. I was talking to dogs. My dog next to me, actually, she's asleep, which is good.
What kind of dog is it?
She's a mix, miniature Schnauzer Westie mix.
Cool.
So she's smallish, but
we have an old English bulldog and a French bulldog and Boston Terrier.
Nice.
So we have 3 dogs. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Cool. So Snowy, thank you. Yeah. That's it. I've got everything. I can let you get on with the rest of your day.
That's fine.
No, thank you for doing this.
It's my favorite subject to talk about myself. So.
That's good. That's good to know.
But I let you get going. So
oh no, it's all right. I've got a day off today, so I'm all good.
Okay. That's wonderful. It was real nice talking to you, and I hope we can do this some other time.
Definitely. I was going to say, like, once things get back to some kind of regularity or whatever, and you end up touring. I know you don't like touring, but if you end up in England, or if I end up in Sweden and you're doing something,
whatever. But I always have something going on, and man of 1,000 projects, people.
I like that. I've been following you on the socials since we kind of like looked this up and everything, and just sort of like and I've sort of dug into your sort of like back catalogue, if you will, as well, and I'm really enjoying it. So
cool.
It's all good. It's all good.
Thank you so much. It was a great pleasure.
No problem.
Chatting with you. But drop me some links so I can share it on my social media.
I will do. As soon as it's about to go live, I'll fire you some links.
Yeah, wonderful.
Okay.
So take care, and
you too. Have a good rest of your day, man.
Yeah, you too. Bye-bye.